Good afternoon. This is Ed Mills with Colorado Broadband Office. We are excited to bring to you a presentation with Aviat, we're excited about this because we heard a little while ago that they were doing some real creative things with microwave, and so we really want to hear what they have to say and see how they can assist our stakeholders across the state of Colorado. Few housekeeping items before we get started. Again, we are recording this session so that we can have it on our video demand portal. You can find that there on our website at broadband.co.gov. That's broadband.co.gov. And in fact, let me take you to the page there. This is where it's going to be at. We'll actually put the slide deck in a PDF format on here, and we'll also put that video on demand. We do have to let you know that at the bottom of our page here that we do have a disclaimer that the Governor's Office of Information Technology does not endorse the solutions featured in the Lunch and Learn series. But I will tell you that Aviat came highly recommended from some stakeholders that we use here at the state that we trust very much. And I'm not going to take any more of the time because I know you didn't come here to listen to me. So anyway, Colorado Broadband Office, we are pleased to bring the January Lunch and Learn featuring Aviat Networks. Aviat Networks has been a leader in microwave technology since its inception. And we are, today, Aviat Networks is focused on helping public safety users solve new challenges, which are not just technical, but also financial. And we actually had some conversations, and this is what Aviat came down with that they're going to share with you today. We're excited about it. Today we're going to talk about high capacity, low cost connectivity. We're also going to talk about small annual payments for upgrades and refreshes, and then also assistance in finding and applying for grants and loans to fund your projects, which is a lot of times for our Colorado stakeholders, that is one of the big things. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the Aviat staff. And as soon as they can get control of the screen, they'll put their presentation up there and we'll be started.
Thank you for that ringing endorsement, Ed. I say that jokingly, of course. Laurent Brigden here with Aviat Networks. Thank you everyone for joining. Quick introduction, I've been with Aviat and its various inceptions for the last 22 plus years. As a territory manager, started in sub-Saharan Africa and slowly worked my way back to North America. But more importantly, I want to highlight my co-host here today, Rebecca Manna. She's a principal with Haystack Public Affairs, and we're very lucky to have her. Previously, Rebecca served with U.S. Senator Max Baucus of Montana and secured more than over $300 million in federal funding for rural and public health projects across Montana, coordinating appropriations, grants, and awards. So when she came up was available to work with us on our team, we were glad to grab her. She's also collaborated with the Office of the Chairman of the FCC to facilitate the creation of nationwide pilot programs using universal service funds, and secured over $25 million in a pilot funded project for dedicated fiber networks across Northwest and Central Montana to protect healthcare providers, or connect healthcare providers, rather, rural communities and tribal and community colleges and clinics in remote areas. Recently, Rebecca has helped us and the Montana Highway Patrol secure $37.5 million in appropriations to support a statewide public safety upgrade to their communication networks. I also wanted to mention that Aviat is currently in the midst of rebuilding the Colorado State Public Safety Network as well. And that's it for the commercial. And with that, I wanted to focus on three things today. So low cost, high capacity radios, simple payments, small payments, and how we can assist you with grants and loans from the USDA. Right off, I'd like to start with, let's get that moving. Just a quick history of Aviat Networks. We started at Langkirk in 1944 and proceeded to change our name about 8 times. I joined right around this name change here in 98, so I've only gone through 3 name changes. We do that to keep our customers on their toes, and largely it was a marketing effort to make something sound new and modern. Langkirk and Faranon didn't roll off the tongue of the modern user, so we changed our name to Aviat to give ourselves a little bit of a technology looking scrub for online presence. But the DNA of our company is storied and is long, and it's all the same people you've come to expect over the years from Faranon and Harris Microwave. So that's a brief synopsis of where we've come and hopefully where we're going. And this is where we're at today. Been in business 76 years, roughly about $250 million in revenue, 320 odd employees, and many systems installed over the years, over 1 million to date, and 3,000 customers worldwide. And that's all I'll say about us in terms of our background. We just want to jump straight into the meat here. And if anyone has a question, by all means, you can raise your hand, and Ed will interrupt, and I can stop the rapid fire verbal that you're getting presented with today. So part 1, we'd really talk about high capacity and low cost. This is, I'm going to focus on products that we have targeted for specific users that are, have short budgets or small budgets and need to get a lot done with those budgets that may not have the statewide support and or funding apparatuses that you come to expect with larger networks. So today we're focusing on the small user and the complex web of problems that you often face. We see these every day on our side. We do many quotes throughout the year. We have 13 different territory managers that quote across North America. And oftentimes we're creating quotes that the customer needs to sit on because they don't have the funding. This is a problem we see repeated constantly. So rather than talk to you about our overall product line, which you see in front of you here today, I'm going to focus on the low cost, high capacity applications that may be more of interest to the users on the call today. The arrow in the middle here divides the products on the left side into the customer interface side, or Ethernet, T1, layer 2, layer 3, MPLS material, and on the right side of the arrow, we've got the RF interfaces. It's an easy way to look at our portfolio. And then to the far side of the right-hand slide, we've got our network management platform as well that ties it all together. Today, I'm going to focus in on this little gem here, the WTM4000, an all-outdoor radio, which can give you, if you've got the right channels, up to 2.5 gig of throughput. With an all-outdoor radio that runs a simple power over Ethernet cable down off that radio, and you can plug it directly into your switch, your router, or whatever it is you've got inside your building shelter or your stand-up cabinet. This is designed primarily with the carriers in mind. They always want cheaper, faster, better. And for once, this trickle down will have a really great net benefit to the small public safety users as well, in that those price pressures and those capacity demands have created a product that we've brought to the market, which we think is a leader in the space in terms of capacity, but also something that is highly affordable and could have many uses for public safety users. You could close a fiber ring, you could extend a piece of fiber, you could create a radio ring with these radios, all the functionalities there. It even has a layer 3 MPLS switch built directly into the unit, and you can do nifty things like remote into them with Bluetooth if you wanted to, if you're standing at the base of the tower and you don't want to climb the tower. So lots of little innovations in there. Up to 2.5 gig throughput in a single outdoor transceiver like you see there. That's a 1 foot dish, you see. So it's a little smaller than 1 foot across, very light, easy to carry up a tower if you need to do a swap out. You can protect the radio internally as well. Small footprint, high throughput, low cost. Those are the key takeaways of this little WTM 4000, and this is becoming very popular with our carrier customers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, etc. They are usually charged a fixed amount per ODU and a fixed amount per cable. So they wanted as many components inside the radio, no dual ODUs, because they were being charged for 2 of those. So this also reduces wind loading, reduces your footprint, and comes in a nifty little package for you. So this focuses on your high capacity, low cost market. Pay as you grow. You can increase your throughput on this radio if you want to add software, capacity via software to this radio. And it's a very simple interface, GUI-based interface, easy to turn up and easy to align as well. In fact, it's so easy, we've got 3 or 4 videos that we've posted on YouTube for users who want to get an overall view, and most of them aren't more than 7 or 8 minutes long. Shows you how to turn it up, how to align it. And it even comes with a little alignment kit that mounts directly on the top of the unit, which is basically a periscope, which you can aim at the other unit down the sight barrel that's there. So that's really a product we think is a beautiful crossover from the carrier space into the public safety space, which we know is crunched for dollars and crunched for personnel. This could be a great fit if you're looking for high capacity, all outdoor, and you need to fire up a link quickly at low cost. For part 2, excuse me if I'm rushing, but I want to get over the commercial part of it now. So that was the commercial, and now we're going to talk about some of the more interesting features is how do you get this stuff paid for and bought. Part 2 is the money problem. And these are challenges everyone in the public safety space shares, even our big statewide customers. We've got shoestring budgets. We've got razor-thin manpower, obsolete equipment, flaky vendors that are coming in and out of the market, going bankrupt, and you're stuck with the material they sold you. We've got skeptical counsel and commissioners. And then we've got huge forklift upgrades that are typically looming over all of these elements. Oftentimes, the smaller county will have a single person, often a contractor, who's wearing many, many hats. They're worried. They're up at night worried about these things and wondering when the next failure is going to bring the entire network down, and they're going to be hauled before the commissioners to answer. And he doesn't want to say, I told you so, or she doesn't want to say that. But in the end, there's a problem to be solved, and it's left usually to a single individual to do that. How do I keep the system running? How do I get the money for the upgrades? And how do I deal with these, manufacturer discontinued components that no one supports or picks the phone up? So the solution we've developed over the last 3 years is something called an MUA, or a microwave upgrade agreement. Most of you are using microwave not for fun, but to support your land mobile radio, your LMR networks. So you've probably seen with Motorola or Harris the system upgrade agreements. The microwave upgrade agreements are, in fact, a blatant ripoff of that sort of a structure. The fact that it took us 3 years to copy them just means that we are methodical about it. We looked at what customers liked about system upgrade agreements with Moto and with Harris and what they didn't like, and we improved upon it. And we've been selling these now for over a year, and we're up to almost 50 million of these on our books since last June, I believe. So what an upgrade, a microwave upgrade agreement is essentially is a complete system upgrade with continual hardware, software, firmware refreshes, right? So oftentimes on the system upgrade agreements to your LMR, you get some of the software and some of the firmware covered, but rarely would you get hardware covered because there's handsets and complexities involved. We've looked at that and we said, that's a big problem. What we want to do is constantly have our users that are under microwave agreements, or MUAs for short, to always have the latest and greatest. So what we do is we structure in advance upgrades that are going to happen to your network, modems, RF units, outdoor or indoor, latest software, latest firmware. so that you aren't worried at night or unable to sleep, wondering if you've got the latest and greatest in your network, or if you're going to suddenly experience some kind of a failure and you won't know where the support is going to come from a vendor who either may not have offered you a support or offers support that's lackadaisical, or they don't have a 24-hour support line, or you simply don't have the money to pay for that support. So in concert with all these continual refreshes is 24/7 health monitoring, which is handled by our redundant TAC groups that we have spread across North America, and emergency spare support, as well as a help desk that's constantly monitoring the network of the health of your network, faults, alarms, pat fades, etc. So who we have on staff are folks that are in the microwave business and who can tell the difference between a microwave fade or a system outage and or a card failure and or a layer 2 or layer 3 Ethernet failure or a TDM failure, and that's important. As an independent microwave vendor, we live and die. We live by the sword, and if we can't keep your microwave networks up, we go out of business. And we understand that as those networks get complicated and really turn into computers with layer 2 and layer 3, we have to have the sophistication of layer 2 and layer 3 individuals on staff, but also those same people have to be able to understand the complex and nuanced behavior of how microwave works in fast fading conditions. Unlike a piece of fiber that gets cut and it's a 1 or a 0, it's on or off, microwave behaves very, very, very differently. You can have a dirty input from a T1 you're getting from a carrier and it'll throw errors through your entire system. We have to know how to troubleshoot that. You can have rapid fading, which comes in and out in hundredths of a microsecond. It does not go on or off completely, or can if you're lucky. You have to know how to troubleshoot that using our built-in diagnostics. So that's what we bring on the 24-hour network monitoring side, but in conjunction with our help desk and emergency spare should you find yourself with a system that's down and you need a part turned around immediately. The last component of this is how do you pay for these things? Large one-time lump sum payments are extremely difficult to get. Councils and commissioners hate them. They're hard to convince to do these things. So we asked ourselves, how do we solve this problem with small budgets and with single person operations? So we looked at how do we stretch the payments out into smaller bite-sized annual payments, over a 10-year period typically. And at the end of the 10 years, rather than this thing falling apart, like many public safety users find today, they're just keeping it alive on baling wire. At the end of the 10 years, your system is, at that point, still completely refreshed. And it's ready for another 10 more. Basically, at the end of that 10 years, you've got a new system in your hands. And the microwave upgrade agreements, or MUAs, can cover anything in your network from tower maintenance, the RF side of it, modems, power systems, DC batteries, dehydrators, all the things that over time tend to get ignored that pile up in a giant estimates for forklift upgrades. We want to avoid those situations. So what we do instead is we time these. Year 2, maybe we're upgrading waveguider antennas that are 10 or 15 years old. Year 3, we go into modems. Year 4, to hydrators. Year 5, batteries, power systems, etc. So we're constantly systematically updating your network in a controlled fashion. It's a quick overview of what we're trying to eliminate here, which is the risk. We do that by keeping your system current and keeping it simple for the user. So the technology is up to date, it's not obsolete. That's key. It's state of the art throughout the life of the network. The performance on your network is high because we're monitoring, we're keeping on top of it. We're being proactive about what we're seeing, the alarms we're seeing in your network. Most networks, as folks on the call will know, are left in alarm as long as it doesn't bring the system down, and typically you've got alarms all over the place. that's just a fact of life. When you've only got one person maintaining a network and running the local wireless internet service provider, and also he's the janitor, or he or she is the janitor, well, you don't have a lot of time to do the nice to have, which is clearing alarms. So our business is to keep you in business and to keep you high and your reliability high. The last is small annual payments as opposed to large, one-shot, difficult to acquire payments. And that's essentially is the MUA or the microwave upgrade agreement. Like I said, we've taken about 3 years to put this into place, to refine it. And when we did, we have gotten a lot of traction with not just large users, but small users, because this really helps them on the budgeting side and on keeping their networks more than just alive, but thriving. With that, I'd like to get to the really important part as well here, which is leveraging your current budgets. A lot of people say we don't have any money. You'd be surprised with how little money we can work to get you more money. And with that, if I could, I'd like to turn it over to Rebecca Manna. She's the principal of Haystack Public Affairs. And Rebecca, I can move the slides forward if you want to turn your mic on. And we can begin by talking about a project we're working on now at the Roosevelt County, Montana, which is this great case study pilot project that we thought we'd like to share with the listeners today. Rebecca, if you want to proceed,
Sure.
I'll move the slides ahead.
Sure, thank you. And I'll cue you when we need to flip the page. Yeah, I think Roosevelt County is a really great case study for our friends in Colorado. You know, Montana, we really struggle with these great geographical distances with a low population, and we've got these counties that have very, very sparse populations, but they're absolutely critical in maintaining public safety communications and networks. And for some of you who are perhaps familiar with Roosevelt County or Wolf Point, Montana, it abuts the Canadian border and the North Dakota border. It's about as, you know, it's at the very far edge of Montana, and extremely rural, and adjacent to an Indian reservation as well, with just an extremely sparse population. So very, very complex to serve for law enforcement and just for county-wide communications, public safety, education as well. So it's actually, you know, just a brilliant case study and opportunity for us to work with them. Just a little quick backstory about Roosevelt County. They have between 8 and 10 towers that are operational. They really are, with no disrespect, you know, they've just really been as ingenious as they can and have done as much as they can to keep these towers operational, but they've just really gone well beyond their usable life. But the challenge with Roosevelt County is identical to what many rural communities face. They just have such a limited budget. The notion of how they're going to replace or upgrade a project with a price tag of approximately $1 million just seems almost inconceivable. So kind of in sitting down with Roosevelt County and kind of meeting them with, you know, where they live, where are they? They have a annual budget for maintenance of about $30,000. And, you know, just sort of looking at that and looking at what they need, and what we were also working on with Aviat, which was supporting the Montana Highway Patrol in their efforts to secure an almost $40 million appropriation that Laurent mentioned earlier in the introduction. How could we leverage all these opportunities together to help Roosevelt County solve their problem? They need towers. The Highway Patrol and other public safety folks need connectivity with this critical network. What can we do? And an organization, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm just going to lean heavily into the U.S. Department of Agriculture today, because as a lot of you know, USDA is just an extremely good fit for helping rural communities solve problems like this. They're rural specialists. They're also telecom specialists, and they're Also excited about supporting projects that increase infrastructure and support local or regional economic development. So we started with USDA. We met with, we looked at the grant programs, but we also decided, because it's a benefit, I think, in rural states, that you can call people up and go sit down and have meetings with high-level folks in organizations. So that's what we did. We immediately met with the state director for Montana, Charles Robeson. He brought his key staff to the table, and we just sort of spitballed this problem and this project and this case study. And they made recommendations to us, ideas, frankly, that we had never thought of, other potential funding partners that we could bring to the table. They expressed some enthusiasm about why they'd like to participate in a project like this. And they also really identified for us really specifically what the hurdles would be, what kind of work product they would be expecting from us. Now, this is where it gets really, I think, important. This is important information. This is when Roosevelt County pulled back. We've been to this party before. This is too rich for our blood. We are not high-level grant writers. Grants with the USDA, as many of you know, are extremely technical. They're considered some of the most, technical grants, through the federal government, and tend to be beyond the bandwidth of strapped, under-resourced rural communities, or 1 or 2 person offices in communities like Roosevelt County. So having a partnership with an organization like Aviat was really key in helping us continue to move this project down the rails. And also, I think Aviat's eagerness to sort of look at this as an opportunity. How can we learn from this challenge with Roosevelt so that we can smooth the way going forward with other rural communities? What does it really take to do the pre-application work for a USDA project? What does it really take to actually put that grant together? And what does it really mean to go out and cobble together, 4 or 5 other meager budgets to develop the matching funds that are needed to put together the 15 or 20% that federal agencies like USDA might require to get, to leverage that to get a larger sum of money. And so we're using it as a learning opportunity. I've written about 12 or 15 USDA grants in my career. I'm pretty familiar with it. But what's exciting here is that we're really working, together in an exceptionally integrated fashion with a county government, state government, federal government. And we also have the help of this larger organization with broad shoulders, Aviat, to bring it all together, not only to put together the nuts and bolts of a grant and a proposal, but to make sure that the project is relevant for the community. And in the long term, Roosevelt County will actually own all of this hardware at the end of the USDA grant timeframe, and Aviat will have teed them up with the kind of equipment that they need. So at the end of 10 or 15 years, we're not right back to where we were again, where we're going to have to change out and rebuild an entire network from scratch. So, and I guess the other thing that I failed to mention, another key element of this partnership is the strong support of the tribes in this location. It's the Fort Peck tribes are co-located in Roosevelt County, and this is also another unique factor of this project. And I think this is something that is common with our friends in Colorado. Sharing expertise and resources among county government and tribal government can often bring its own set of challenges. But in this case, it's just been a really wonderful partnership. And the tribes have been supportive and forthcoming with matching funds to support their colleagues at the county to see this project through. And so ultimately, we're trying to, I hope it's all right to mention, we're trying to get someplace to a project price tag of $1 to $1.5 million, and we need about 10 or 15% in cash to put that proposal together for USDA. You know, that's really kind of the nuts and bolts of what we're doing with USDA. I just wanted to mention to you as well, and I know that you're all, you know, if you're working in the public safety arena, you're working, you know, with fire mitigation or what have you, you're aware that, you know, there are a number of federal agencies and state agencies that you can rely on. But I just, for our project in Montana, felt USDA was a particularly good fit. But, you know, I want to mention there's the Department of Interior, there's the DEA, there's the Federal Communications Commission. There are a whole host of other federal agencies and partners that are very, very useful in helping promote communications networks for public safety. There is, you know, another resource that I wanted to mention to you related to that. I think it's particularly timely is coming up in February. I think USDA is actually hosting a conference in Denver about a really exciting program that could probably really benefit a lot of listeners and a lot of users, particularly in Colorado. It's called the Reconnect program. And I just wanted to mention that to you as well. We're working through what is known as the Community Facilities Direct Loan and Grant Program. That just happened to be the program that our friends at USDA thought we would be a particularly good fit for. So kind of in a nutshell, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
This is Ed Mills. I interrupted you. This
Sorry.
is Ed Mills, if I can break in. We just want to let our listeners know that also the Colorado Broadband Office, we have now hired someone who is, she is very familiar with the various programs out there. And so she can be an assistance. And if you go to the USDA forum here in Denver, please seek her out. Her name is Teresa Ferguson. If you'd like to, if you haven't met her, if you don't know her, please send me an email and I'll get you connected. But just want to let you know you have multiple points in which through Aviat as well as through the state to help you get the kind of infrastructure you need and to get the funding to do that. And I'll yield it back to you. Thank you.
No, thanks. Thank you so much, Ed. I mean, you're so fortunate in Colorado. I really want to applaud the foresight of your state and of your agency to, you know, implement a specialist that can assist people specifically with these projects. It's just contemplating a project. You want to get off on the right foot right from the beginning, and having somebody who has those skills and that experience, particularly with agencies like USDA, is just an amazing opportunity. And I really encourage everybody to take full advantage of that. And in fact, I'm going to call Teresa myself, and I'm sure she'll be able to teach me a lot and help me a lot as well. But I did include a link there to the program that we're using, and I certainly defer to Teresa's expertise and to your expertise as well. But just using our situation as a case study, I just wanted to tell you about our personal experience, professional experience with USDA, and excited to hear about what you're doing as well with Teresa Ferguson and some of the other projects. I'm gonna have to track and follow what you do going forward. But that's really all I have to say. And if I can answer any questions, I'm really happy to do that. Or if you want to email us, really happy to pass up any links or any progress reports or any other, I can answer any questions for anybody directly.
For those of you who are on the line with us or on the internet, is there any questions? If you would, go ahead and take your phone off mute at this point and go ahead and ask our friends at Aviat. We have got a silent group today. Give them a little time.
Hey,
maybe
this is Katie Hall. I'm the IT director out of Public Safety. So, guys, I've been kind of in and out listening and looking at the equipment. Do you have just like a list of like active projects you're doing at the state of Colorado right now?
Katie, this is Laurent with Aviat Networks. So we're doing the statewide rebuild of the state system, but also,
Okay.
and that touches many, many, many counties across the state as well.
And is that, when you say the system, I know that like a lot of what we were looking at today was more like radio signal. Is it phone or radio? Because I hear that in public safety, we hear a lot like the radio network and the phone network, and we think of them as two different things.
So what we're updating or upgrading is the microwave backhaul for the land mobile radio network. So the push-to-talk system that the fire and police talk over. So
Okay.
what we upgrade are the links in between those towers.
Okay.
So this
Got
is a DTRS system or 800, which primarily the Colorado Departments of Public Safety uses. A lot of fire departments, including the one that I serve as a volunteer, we have several radios. So that's, I think, what we're talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, our bread and butter,
Other
just
questions?
to touch on Katie's point
Go ahead.
as well, is just our bread and butter are public safety customers. So state, county, city, municipalities.
Got it.
Do we have any other questions about either the technology or the different programs and how Aviat can assist you to get the solutions you need for your communities or your agency? Well, hearing none, I don't like to belabor a point, and so we're going to go ahead and thank our presenters today, Rebecca and Laurent. We appreciate the time. This has been very informative, and I've asked them to go ahead and put the contact information up for you. Please know that probably by Friday, this will be posted at on our broadband website. And you'll be able to listen to this presentation in its entirety, video on demand. And if Aviat has any other documents or links that they would like you to see or ways that you can follow up, if you guys would just send that to me, we'll make sure that it gets up. We appreciate your time. We know it's valuable. And if there's any way that the Colorado Broadband Office can serve you, please don't hesitate to ask. And so with that, I'm going to say thank you to our presenters. We appreciate it. And everybody have a great day.
Thank you very much, Ed. Appreciate you hosting this.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you.